Do you think 40 to 50 billion is a fair amount?
No, it's far too much. I think it's very clear that the UK government has contributed to the EU budget in the billions since our membership and millions over the past few years. And what we're not getting here very clearly is what this money is for. We're not getting a trade deal definitively, and we are not seeing the line-by-line EU demands of what this money is supposed to be accounted for.
Well, the government will argue that this is money that we've promised to pay for. You know, we voted for and agreed that it was a good idea for the EU to commit certain amounts of money for certain projects. We can't now just say, actually, we're leaving, so we're not going to pay any of that. We are obliged, are we not, when we've promised to do something, to follow that promise through.
Yes, but the question is, when we leave, we also made a decision of not to continually fund the EU and all its projects.
But this isn't continual funding, is it? This is just for the transition period, and maybe up to about 4 years.
Well, I'm not sure that that is a really appropriate way of looking at this. For example, this morning on my desk...
Well, it's the right way, isn't it? It's not endless funding. It's for a set period of time until we have finally left.
I'll give you an example. On my desk this morning in the European Parliament, I received a document from the EU saying that during the next few years we will be funding childcare and child benefit from the Polish government to Polish citizens. Now, is that the sort of commitment that this UK government should be doing when we're cutting child benefit in our own country? And that is why I'm saying we shouldn't pay any more until we see exactly, line by line, what we're being demanded to pay for. We should not pay for things such as that, or the continuing building of roads, or to enable the Ukraine to join the EU. We should be only paying for things that are helpful and contributing towards the UK leaving, and things that have already been committed to, which benefit the UK too.
Let's look at it another way, Stephen Woolfe. Say I was with a group of friends and we all agreed to go on holiday together. We were all sharing a big villa, and 10 of us were all paying. Now I then decide I'm not going. Do I then expect the other 9 to share the amount, or do I just say I'm not going, but I'll pay the 10% I said I would?
Well, that depends on the circumstances of why you're not going and what contributed to that. If your friends had actually all started picking on you and decided that they didn't like you anymore, or that you had to demand to pay more for certain activities on that, then you'd be quite right to say I'm not going and I'm not paying at all. And that is exactly what we've got with the European Union. They're trying to make the UK squeeze until the final pip is coming out of us. And they're not being fair. They haven't been fair through the negotiations. And actually, quite frankly, they've not been helped by those opposing the government in trying to reach a good deal.
Isn't it an argument, though, that this is money we've said we'll pay, it's right that we pay it because we want to keep on good terms with the EU. They're going to be our closest trading partner. It's in our interest that the EU doesn't fail, and it's our interest that projects that we thought were a good idea 2 or 3 years ago are still a good idea for the EU.
But if that was the case and they wanted to be fair and act as good friends, they would have given us the option to have negotiations on the free trade arrangement immediately. But of course they didn't, because there are lots of good reasons for the European Union, as they see it, of why they want to act tough. One of them is to say to the rest of the world, if we could be hard with Britain, one of our closest friends, then in geopolitical terms, when we come to trade agreements with India or China or indeed the United States, you can see how tough we can be. That isn't the attitude of friends. That is the attitude of someone acting like a bully.
While you've got you here, Mr. Woolfe, can I just ask your thoughts on what's happened this morning with Donald Trump and what he's retweeted? Chukwuemeka, we had him on a short time ago, said he felt that Mr. Trump was normalising hatred. What's your view?
I've been a supporter of much of what Trump has done, but he's gone way beyond the pale on this. You cannot, as the President of the United States, with all the responsibility that you have to try and keep relationships between people equal and fair, go out and normalise the idea that all Muslims are creating these problems. You should identify that there are obviously terrorists out there who follow a fundamentalist view that we disagree with, but you cannot in any way start saying that all Muslims are doing this.
Do you think the UK's invitation to Mr. Trump should be rescinded?
That's not a matter for me. I think what we should be saying very clearly through our ambassador is that there are people in this world who contribute to your society, to our societies across the globe, who support the Muslim religion. They are equally appalled at those people who want to smash up a kind of icon of Christianity. By doing this, you're actually pushing them further away from all of us trying to deal with the fundamental problem, which is hatred within Islamic terrorism.
Yeah. I know it's not your decision whether or not Mr. Trump comes, but I'm just asking for your view. Do you think he should come?
Well, unfortunately, I believe that he has to come because he is the leader of the largest country which trades with us. And actually, by being here, it gives us a better opportunity for people to meet him, speak to him, and try and bring some sense to this argument about immigration, culture, and the way we integrate with each other.
Even though he has tweeted these things that are, you know, from a woman who is facing charges of inciting racial hatred.
Yes, but unless he listens to people who have an alternative view, then he's never going to get the message. That's like saying in university we never listen to anybody else with an alternative argument. When I was at university as a mixed-race person, I argued that the National Front should be there on a podium so we can actually hear what they say and then defeat them with the sense and logic. I believe if he comes here, then he will also hear people who say, you are wrong on this issue, Mr. Trump, and start ensuring that people are brought together rather than separated in the way that you're doing.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.